Ashlee Martin. The sun was beating down on the highway below. Its shine nearly blinded the drivers who were on it. On either side of the highway, sparse vegetation dotted the otherwise barren ground with its cliff faces jutting out ruggedly and providing an apt background to the plain yet rocky landscape. The summery skies were cloudless and vibrant blue. The breeze was like a hot blaze of air, providing no relief from the stifling seasonal heat. All in all, it was a perfect summer's day. Ashlee turned the air conditioner of her car to its highest setting and sighed in relief as the sweat glimmering on her brow began to dry. The cool air blew strands of hair, which had begun to mat against her forehead, away from her flushed face and temples. She had been driving for quite a while. The tug in the pit of her stomach was her only guide to where her destination was. Beyond that, she knew nothing, but she wasn't worried. Her instincts had never led her astray, and she put her complete faith in them. Ashlee still couldn't shake the feeling that her course of action was entirely foolish. After all, she thought, who packs up their entire life in the back of their car and takes off with only a feeling guiding them to where they want to go? It was preposterous to even think of a move without planning finances, income, residence, and destination. She had no qualms about it, simply because her instincts were not as shadowy and unclear as the general human population's was. Instead, they were ingrained deeply within her and right down to the marrow of her bones. Over the years, she had honed the feeling to the point that it was second nature to let it guide her in all aspects of her life. Ashlee Martin had always known that she was different. Since she was a little girl, she could not relate to other children her age. She was not interested in playing games with them. Her parents also noticed that occasionally, she would speak in a language that they couldn't understand, but that Ashlee seemed to be very natural and comfortable with. They would ask her what it meant, and she would state that she didn't know what or why she had said it. On many occasions, she approached people who were physically ill or mentally distraught, and upon touching them, they seemed to improve and become at peace. She was the 7th generation of an only female child, the same as her mother, maternal grandmother, and 4 prior maternal generations. As she was growing up in Los Angeles, her interests were conditioning her body and disciplining her mind. She would frequent a fitness center or meditate at the local yoga center when not in classes. She always felt the impulse to help people, which occasionally got her in trouble. Ashlee grew up to be a beautiful woman with shoulder-length, wavy, dark hair, olive-colored skin, and brown eyes. She had a perfectly shaped body and extremely strong muscles, but she was very feminine and sensual. She always dressed fashionably and appropriately for the occasion, but felt more comfortable in form-fitting, casual clothes, black being her favorite color. She was never much into jewelry. She only owned a gold medal, which had the Archangel Saint Michael on one side and the figure of a bearded person wearing a flounced skirt and a cone-shaped hat with a horned crown on the reverse side. Her mother told her she should always wear it because it would protect and guide her through life. It was very precious to her because it was the only possession she had that had belonged to her mother. Her mother had told her that their ancestors had come from the old world and the new world. Her ancestors were from very ancient civilizations who had mystical knowledge that they used to help humanity. She came from a lineage of very special women with incredible abilities. Her mother told her that her guardian spirit would let her know when the time came for her purpose in life. She never gave these words much importance because she was like most teenagers, only interested in current times and places. Thinking back, she did remember seeing her mother helping people when they were sick, when they sought her help, and she performed strange rituals on them, which seemed mysterious and magical because the person she treated stood up afterward, smiled, and felt well. When her mother called her to come and eat, she didn't know whether her mother actually called her or if she just imagined it. It was also strange how her mother always somehow knew what she was thinking and anticipated her movements. Now that Ashlee was thinking about it, she didn't recall seeing her mother or father ever being sick, angry, or upset. They were always happy, loving, and very understanding with her. But even if she wanted to know more, it was too late to ask. Her parents had passed away a few years ago in a car accident. After that, she came to realize that they had been a great support for her and how much she loved and missed them. She decided it was time to take her life more seriously, so she enrolled and went on to college, where she obtained a degree in liberal arts with a major in world history and geography. Other than that, she was an expert in meditation, martial arts, and ancient cultures. She didn't quite know why she needed this knowledge or training, but she sensed that it would come in handy later in life. At this point in life, she had accepted her extra sense and had let it take over all aspects of her life. After college, she worked various jobs in marketing, which was followed by a job at a movie production studio. She was at the tourist information office for a few years. One day, she met a middle-aged woman traveler, and upon shaking her hand, she felt a jolt of energy. She always had the ability to sense other people's energies and feelings, almost to the point where she could even gather their thoughts and tell what they were thinking and feeling. The woman smiled and said, "Yes, I'm a psychic, and I also can sense your energy. You have an important destiny to fulfill. Follow your path." Soon after that, Ashlee concluded that it was time to move on. She could also sense a strong energy from specific locations. It almost felt as if these places were calling and pulling her there. She had been resisting this energy for a long time. In all honesty, she had not let her peculiar senses fully take the wheel. She had just let them affect her interactions. But now, she was ready to dive in and drive into the great unknown. She expected to feel anxious, but she didn't know why, considering that she had never felt that way when she decided to abide by her instincts. Thankfully, she felt at peace. The mounting anxiety she had experienced over the years was due to her neglecting to follow her instincts. Had she known this, she would have followed it a lot sooner. This was how she knew it was time to give in, follow the pull of the energy that she felt, and find out once and for all what it was about. This was how she found herself driving to the town of Sedona, Arizona, on this beautiful, clear, sunny day in October. She'd never been there, but the attraction and energy coming from this direction were quite strong. Somehow, she knew it was her destination. She had exited Interstate 17 and was on State Highway 179 toward Sedona when she felt a strong energy surge, which gave her goose bumps that had nothing to do with the cool air blasting straight at her from the vents. She knew it was the right direction, especially as she entered town. As she continued to drive, the scenery remained desert-like. similar to how it had been her whole drive to this town. Possibilities. She admired the scenery. As the sun began to set, she watched the skies turn a stunning blend of orange, red, and yellow. The road stretched ahead of her, leading her to a new home. She felt a pull to the right when she approached the junction of State Highway 89. She turned and followed the road for less than 2 blocks, slowing down to appreciate the quaint little town. She saw people milling about and entering and exiting multiple shops. She seemed to have entered the shopping complex of the town, for which she was glad. She needed to check out this place to find a job and bed to crash in for the night and to grab a bite to eat. She was starving. Having been on the road since the crack of dawn, her breakfast was a distant memory. She soon reached a roundabout and took a left. Somehow, her eyes fell on the sign of an open cafe, which had a few patrons visible from its windows. The sign read Macy's Cafe, and the place looked old but not run down. The red brick establishment evoked a sense of home in her and that she had arrived. Ashlee parked her car in front of it. Her car was a few years old but was very reliable. It was a dark gray Ford sedan with a black interior, which was very comfortable and easy to drive. It had an excellent sound system, which was important because she loved to listen to music, and a great air conditioning system, which made it very comfortable for long rides. When she opened the car door, she was assaulted by a blast of warm evening air and heady aromas of delicious food, which wafted from the cafe. They encouraged her to quicken her steps to sate her hunger. She shut the door and locked it because it contained all her possessions and some sentimental family items that she did not want to be stolen. As her body began to acclimate to the temperature, she realized that the air had cooled with the setting of the sun, which allowed her to dally, take a few deep breaths, and stretch her legs after the long drive. She could have made pit stops, but she didn't want to allow herself to turn back or change her mind. She also couldn't rid herself of the urgency to get where she had to go, which she now knew was this town. She wondered what was calling her here and then dismissed the thought altogether. She wasn't too worried about it. Things tended to reveal themselves in their own time, and she could be patient. As she headed inside, the tinkling of the bell announced her entrance, causing the other patrons to look her way. They eyed her curiously, much in the way that small-town people who knew one another could always spot a newbie amongst them. Ashlee paid it no mind. She smiled at anyone she locked eyes with. Most of them smiled back while some of them looked away. She took a booth close to the entrance, and a waitress came over almost immediately. The waitress was pushing 40, and she had a pin-up girl air about her. Ashlee felt a tingling sensation, and images rushed to her head, as she got a read on the waitress's energy and thoughts. She could tell that she was a good person, even without her extra senses, and just from her crinkling, warm, brown eyes and wide, welcoming smile. Ashlee had always had the ability to sense other people's energy and feelings, almost to the point where she could even gather their thoughts, a suggestion, to word it better, to tell what they were thinking and feeling. She could even identify the thinker as each of them had his or her own distinct voice, which she grew familiar with as she spent more time with that person. Hello there. My name's Cindy. You look like you've been on the road for a while. Can I get you something to drink and eat? Yes, please, said Ashlee, returning the smile. I haven't had a look at the menu, but I would like to order your biggest burger, a healthy helping of fries, a tall strawberry milkshake, and a piece of apple pie. If you have any?" The waitress chuckled in a friendly manner. "Of course, we do," Cindy replied. "I'll be right back with your order." And with that, she walked away. Ashlee whiled the short wait away by people watching through the window on her right, only turning when she sensed the waitress was returning to her table with her order. Ashlee gave a cursory glance at the table and felt her mouth water. She gazed up at the waitress and expressed her gratitude, to which Cindy grinned before turning toward another customer who had just entered the cafe. A shiver crawled up her spine, and she whipped around to see what had caused it. No one who stood out to her until her attention went to the gentleman whom Cindy was attending to. She was unable to see him, seeing as he was seated in the booth behind her, but she could sense the energy he emitted. It was hard to miss, and she didn't know what to make it. Ashlee shook her head to dismiss the feeling, choosing to analyze it after putting some food into her system. She dug into her meal and ate it with gusto, demolishing her early supper and late lunch until all that was left was her decadent slice of apple pie, which she enjoyed at a leisurely pace, now that her stomach was comfortably full. Cindy came over to collect her plate, and Ashlee took this opportunity to learn more about the place and get a head start on her job and apartment hunting. "I just arrived in your beautiful town, and I feel like it's the perfect place to live. Can you recommend any place where I can stay for the night and rent out to live in permanently, or do you know anyone hiring help? I'm a fast learner and can do almost anything, plus I am really good at dealing with people, sales, etc." Cindy nodded eagerly. "I'll ask around if anyone is looking for help, and I'll let you know. I believe there are a few places that have had recent openings for jobs. Just give me your cell phone number. In the meantime, if you're looking for a place to stay, come and check out where I live, the new age home for single women." Ashlee chuckled a little at the name. "It's around the corner, and there's still one room available for rent," Cindy continued. "It's very comfortable and homey. And it has 5 other single female tenants other than yours truly. It's also safe and includes utilities, and a very kind, smart businesswoman owns it." This pleased Ashlee greatly. "Perfect. I'll do that. Thank you very much." Her attention went back to the man sitting in the next booth. She had felt a strong energy surge the moment that he walked by her, which was stronger than the one she had felt before. She didn't want to turn to see him, but she could sense his presence and attraction. After clearing the bill, she bit her lip contemplatively, stood up, and turned